Dirleton Castle was built around 1225 to defend the approaches to Edinburgh if an invasion were launched from the Firth of Forth, just a little to the north. The castle served well enough for a few centuries, but in 1650 it was destroyed. Today, the most abiding relics of its long history are the magnificent gardens. Scotland's gardens are famous all over the world, none more so than the Royal Botanic Garden in Edinburgh. It has the largest collection of rhododendrons in Scotland, and its rock garden is famous. From Calton Hill, just outside the city, the well-known skyline comes into view. The castle, Princes Street, and the Scott Monument are its symbols, but there is more to Edinburgh than these. It is without doubt one of the world's most beautiful capital cities. Charlotte Square, the centre of its Georgian elegance, was designed by the well-known 18th century architect Robert Adam. Other parts of the city lack the grace of the Georgians, but add an excitement of their own. The streets of the Old Town were named according to their uses. The grass market here was the centre of the trade in hay. The Old Town grew up under the shadow of the castle. Next to Greyfriars Churchyard stands the Victorian monument to Greyfriars Bobby. He faithfully guarded the grave of his policeman master for 14 years. The heart of Edinburgh is the castle, a favourite residence of the Scottish kings since the 11th century. Its ramparts offer commanding views all around the city, including Princes Street, famous for its shopping. The oldest part of the castle is St. Margaret's Chapel, built by the saint's son, King David I, in the early 12th century. Mons Meg, the magnificent siege gun, has been here since 1457. At 1 o'clock every day, the castle gives the city a time check with the 1 o'clock gun. In the Crown Room are the Scottish Crown jewels, a collection of great magnificence. The Scottish crown, sword and sceptre were walled up here after the Act of Union between England and Scotland in 1707. They stayed until the chamber was opened again and the jewels put on display in 1818. The wealth of Scotland and its kings may be judged from this small show of their finest jewellery. Today, the wealth of Edinburgh stems partly at least from its attractiveness to visitors. The Royal Mile proudly displays the history and traditions of Scotland to all comers. There's even a whisky centre, in case anyone needs to find out more about the water of life. Under a magnificent golden kite lies Gladstone's Land, a 6-storey building completed in 1620. It has been refurbished as a typical well-to-do home of the period. Its furnishings reflect the wealth and culture of the merchants of the time and the comfort in which they lived. Edinburgh's most famous church, the High Kirk of St. Giles, and the magnificent buildings of Parliament Square were all built of stone from the Craigleith Quarry, the source of Edinburgh's classical beauty. Nearby, beneath the Tron Church, archaeologists have discovered some of the city's earliest streets, probably dating from the 16th century. Under the city chambers lies Mary King's Close, another ancient street with a tale to tell. Jimmy Thompson is a local historian who has studied old Edinburgh and the way of life of the poorer people who lived and worked in these narrow alleys. Their fate was somewhat harsher than that of their royal neighbours up on the hill.
This is Mary King's Close, part of the old town of Edinburgh, which dates from the early 16th century. These were probably the first skyscrapers in the world, or anything from 9 to 12 stories high, and so narrow at the top, it was possible for the residents to step out and shake hands with the people who lived opposite each other. They were last occupied in 1645, when most of the residents died of the plague. Also remaining are the old bakehouses. We have a ghost here, that of a young girl, dressed in white, wearing boots and accompanied by a dog who has been seen wandering the various closes and rooms in the vicinity. We too have a character associated with this area, Known to the world as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but in Edinburgh he's better known as Deacon Brodie. He was a respectable businessman and councillor by day and a thief by night. 200 years ago, he was convicted for theft and hanged. He prompted Robert Louis Stevenson to write his famous book, still widely read, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Deacon Brodie's Tavern is on the corner of another part of the ancient Royal Mile, the Lawn Market. Among the medieval buildings are craftsmen and tradesmen who have been serving Scotland and the world for many years. Some new trades have come into being in recent years. For example, the souvenir peddler or the genealogist, a favourite in Scotland. It's tempting to buy a kilt while in Edinburgh, but to wear one properly, you have to have the swagger. In the 16th century, the Tolbooth was built as a courthouse and prison. Today, it's a museum. Nearby, White Horse Close is a group of 17th century houses that have been restored to their former beauty. They stand near the gates of the palace of Holyrood House, originally built as a guest house for the abbey. England's Earl of Hertford wrecked the palace in 1544, but Charles II rebuilt it, beginning in 1671. What we see today is a mixture, added to by successive monarchs up to and including King George V. The present Queen visits here every summer. 111 Scottish monarchs gaze from the walls of the Great Gallery, including Queen Mary, whose own chambers were preserved by the special request of Sir Walter Scott. The painted frieze is As She Knew It, and there's her monogram on the ceiling. The room resounds with the horror of the night of March the 9th, 1566, when Lord Darnley and his men stormed in and murdered the Queen's Italian secretary, David Rizzio. Every August, Edinburgh is the site of the International Festival, which was started as one way to heal the divisions between nations that existed after World War II. Attendees at the first festival in 1947 witnessed the reunion of the great conductor Bruno Walter with his beloved Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. Today, the festival is an annual event in which avant-garde productions on the fringe surround artistic achievement of the highest order. For 3 weeks, the city is ablaze with art and audacity, with everything from the one-man shows of the fringe to great operatic and orchestral performances that attract audiences from all over the world. Pianist Arthur Schnabel described the first festival as a demonstration of an unbroken faith in uniting human values and virtues. As it approaches its half-century, the festival's values still shine out, and the world comes to its door. In addition to the arts festival itself, the 3-week period includes a film festival, a television festival, a jazz festival, and a book fair. But the center of it all is the music and drama of the original concept in 1947. The festival goes on through the night, every night. It's an unforgettable experience, a growing atmosphere of international goodwill and excitement. Along with the fireworks, festival audiences see one of the most moving and rousing ceremonies in Europe, the military tattoo, held at night on the Esplanade of the castle. Pipes and drums of the Highland regiments provide a spectacle that can be seen nowhere else in the world. Every stone in the background sings of pride and tradition. Displays by gymnastic teams from the army have become a regular part of the tattoo. But it's the music and the spectacle that draw huge crowds every time the tattoo is performed as the climax of the festival.